Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Cloud cover still out there, and so are some showers. So we're still seeing an active radar, but the bulk of that moisture did fall this morning and this afternoon. But we're still holding on to more of it as we go into tonight. So the heaviest is done, but still scattered showers in the forecast. Also snow still expected in our forecast through tonight, and then everything will be drying out by tomorrow morning. This is the view from our Mount Soledad cam. It's even a little shaky as wind speeds are still picking up, and we've had some gusts into the teens and 20s west of the mountains, with the strongest ones across the desert. We've had rainfall in that forecast. As mentioned, we've seen scattered showers throughout the day, and well, about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall for downtown. So not talking about anything too significant, but that does get our roads slick. So even when you see rain in the forecast, just be cautious out there. We've had more than 1/2 inch from Miramar, as well as more than 1/4 of an inch, and that's for Santee, the same for Ramona, more than 1/2 inch for Valley Center. And where you're seeing those little stars, that's a little wintry mix, so a combination of rain as well as some flurries that were taking place for Lake Cuyamaca, and the same for Pine Valley. When it comes to snowfall, 2 inches of snowfall from Mount Laguna. More is anticipated tonight, as well as 3 inches so far for Julian and 9 inches for Palomar Mountain. And as mentioned, more expected tonight. When we look at our sweeping radar, we are seeing some showers near Santee as well as Humboldt, and we're going to continue to see some light to moderate rainfall on again, off again throughout the night. So if you're just kind of paying attention, you saw maybe at one point you saw some sunshine today, and then you saw some clouds rolling in, you saw rain, and then you got back to that sunshine. So just on again, off again activity expected. You're seeing a shower, and that's for Oceanside, also starting to move on shore closer towards Camp Pendleton, and really light stuff that's going to be making a beeline next 15 to 30 minutes right for Coronado. So not entirely dry for tonight, still holding on to those chances as that low does sit over us. The core of that low area of low pressure is over Nevada, but we can see that big dip in the jet stream, and so that's why that moisture is being sent in our direction. Still holding on to a chance through tonight. Everything does dry out just in time for the weekend, and well, for a lot of people, that's a good thing, especially because this would be the first dry weekend we've had in a couple of weeks. So the last weekend we were dealing with an atmospheric river, the storm system. Weekend before that, we had a storm system that was rolling in, and so now we're dealing with dry conditions for most of the weekend. So everything really kind of clearing out once we get to about daybreak by tomorrow. When it comes to our wind advisory, it's still in effect for the desert and goes all the way until 11 p.m. for tonight. We've had some pretty strong gusts in the 50s. Also, to start the weekend, still some water woes out there. Small craft advisory for boats, and that's with seas building up to about 6 to 11 feet. And then large breaking waves still along our coastline. It will subside a little bit more to 3 to 5 feet by tomorrow. But before we get to that point, you're still talking about that high surf advisory all the way through noon, and that's with the large breaking waves up to about 8 feet, and it's still a strong risk of rip currents at our local beaches for Saturday. For the mountains, winter weather advisory keeps going until 11 p.m. for tonight, talking about 2 to 3 inches for Julian and also 4 to 6 for Palomar Mountain. Coupled with that, slippery roads out there. We had Kelly Hessedal, who was reporting from Pine Valley, and right along the 8, unfortunately, somebody's car did go into a ditch, and so slippery conditions when we're talking about winter storms moving through is something you need to be mindful of. So strong gusty winds coupled with those wet roads out there is a really bad combination. And so still along the 8 for tonight, we are seeing that moving through the mountains. And that's with the snow level coming down to about 3,000 feet. So just some cold air that is out there. And we just want to advise you to please be careful if you're going to be out there on the roadways as we continue to have wet roads in the forecast, as well as those gusty winds for tonight. When it comes to our overnight lows, widespread in those 40s. 43 degrees for Poway to start off tomorrow morning, 43 degrees for Miramar, 46 degrees for Chula Vista. This map just tells me that I'm going to hit snooze quite a bit by tomorrow. Just enjoy the warmth underneath that blanket, because yeah, we're definitely going to be dealing with a chill out there. Even some 30s, that's going to be for Julian as well as for Ramona, and then 27 degrees below freezing for Palomar Mountain. Then we get to the daytime highs. We're still going to see some passing clouds, partly sunny day for tomorrow, and then also some sunshine and some high clouds in the mix. That's going to be on Sunday. So very similar temperatures that we're expecting for Saturday and Sunday. So for tomorrow, widespread with those 60s. It's a little bit warmer than than what we had today. Below seasonal today when it came to our highs. We were widespread in those 50s. We're talking about the 60s for tomorrow, so a little bit more of a bump up, but just not at seasonal just yet. Upper 60s to low 70s is what's typical for this time of the year, so we're still falling short of that as we're looking at 62 degrees for Escondido, 63 for La Mesa, 61 for Del Mar. You have that slight chance that's going to be early tomorrow morning. Then everything dries out by Sunday. We have some high clouds passing through, and we still are looking at this area of low pressure for Monday before we completely dry out by much of next week. And here's why. Area of low pressure, the one that's creating the wet weather now, is going to move out towards the east. We're sitting in between systems. So tomorrow you're going to see basically the result of that low moving out. So partly sunny conditions. Then we get to about Sunday. That's when we start to see high clouds moving in, mixed in with that sunshine, all ahead of our next storm system, showing that things are going to change in the forecast again. But here's the difference with this low pressure system. Do you see a lot of rain? No. It's scaling back when it comes to our chances. Just a couple days ago, it was going with chances that were above 50%, but it continues to scale back because this low looks to track a little bit more inland across the Pacific Northwest before it moves more towards the south. So as a result, a lot of that moisture gets dried out. That's why we're only dealing with a slight chance that we could see any activity on Monday, but it also would keep our temperatures in those 60s to start off the week. And then we bump those temperatures up. This area of high pressure builds in, bringing temperatures above seasonal, especially when you're talking about 80s across inland valleys, 70s right along the coast, and 90s right back in the desert. So your 8-day microclimate forecast, if you're craving a warm up, you're going to get it by next week. You got low 70s returning for the coast by Tuesday, upper 70s by Thursday of next week. Those temperatures will be coming down as we hit the weekend with an area of low pressure closing in. As far as rain, not putting raindrops on the 8-day just yet, but that could change in the next couple of days. Also looking at 60s this weekend for inland valleys, back into the 80s. That will be by the middle of the week. Those 80s keep going all the way until Friday of next week. 70s to kick off next weekend for inland valleys. You're looking at the 50s for this weekend for the mountains. If you're thinking about heading out there to go check out the snow, please be careful because roads will still be a little slippery out there and a little slick. And we do have a big warm up taking us right back into the 70s, and that will be for the mountains by Tuesday. 80 set to return by Thursday with that big ridge of high pressure. 70s turn into 90s across the desert. In the desert, those winds are going to finally calm down. By tomorrow, still a breeze, but not strong enough to continue that wind advisory. I hope you have a great weekend. Please be careful out there tonight if you're not going to be out on the roadways, as we are still looking at chances for more wet weather. But hey, that's going to be a thing of a past as we go into next week. Have a good one.